Hey everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp, and we're working on a cool little terrain project I wanted to share with you. Let me show you what we got going on here now. This is where we're at so far. These trying to make some sort of kind of Norse standing stones sort of terrain. Now it's not painted yet. This is not finished. It's still a work in progress. But I wanted to show you where we're at so far, and we're also going to talk about how we got here. So we're going to go back to the very beginning and kind of walk you through the steps if you feel like this is something you'd like to make and see how it goes. So let's just jump into it. Hey, one thing before we get too much further though, will you take a minute and make sure you hit the like button? If you're not a subscriber, get subscribed to our little channel. Hit that bell so you'll get a notification when we upload new videos. Now, let's take a look at where this all started. So we're making it out of this bark, and it is, I think it's pine. It might not be pine, but it's some sort of tree bark, natural bark. And here are the different pieces. Now, this piece has been glued down to a DVD, a CD sort of thing. Here is another small piece of that tree bark. Check that out. Doesn't that look nice? All the different texture and stuff in there. Now, we take some of those pieces and we're just going to cut them. So that's a piece of bark there, cut it in half, and then we're going to make it into standing stones. Look at the texture and all of the different feel of the stone there. I think it looks really, really cool. All the different layers just looks really, really nice. So as we look around there, there's giving you different views of it, and you can see that it's fairly solid, but it is. We are going to need to put some glue on it to help it stay together a little bit better. So that's the pieces that we're going to do there, and we're going to do about six different stands of this. And this is just a view of the different pieces that we're going to use from different angles. You know, each piece you just try and cut it so that you get a good feel for how it's going to look when it's sitting on the table. And that's a solid piece there before it's been cut in half. That's basically what the pieces look like. And you can pretty much use any kind of little saw you have laying around to cut this stuff. It's not particularly hard to cut. All right, now here they are just kind of laid out on the discs. These are old movies and old computer games and old presentations that I have, and I really like these discs. These discs are awesome to use for terrain because they stay really, really flat. They don't warp on you. They're super durable. They're one of the best building materials that I have found. So if you got any of those laying around, use them for this. Now I mixed up some JB Weld for this, so I'm applying some JB Weld. That's what's actually going to fix the bark to the disc. So there it is. I want to make sure I avoid the putting it directly on the hole. So there it is with it on there, and that's it. So I mix up and I just use regular JB Weld. Some folks like one of the different types of JB Weld, but I pretty much just go with the basic stuff. So you mix that up, it'll get you your paste, and then just applying that to the bottom of each one of the pieces there, and then applying it. You don't have to be super careful with it. If it's gonna spread out and make a little bit of a mess on the disc, that is absolutely fine. Don't worry about that at all, because it's all going to be covered up with other stuff. So the next step that I wanted to do is go back and apply a mixture of glue and water to each one of the pieces. So there's the glue and the water that I'm going to use. I'm using wood glue here. You can use really pretty much any PVA glue. And it's about a 1-to-1 ratio here. And you can see about how much I mixed up there. About 1 part water, 1 part glue. And then it's just a matter of brushing it on. It's just a matter of giving it a nice, good coat. And I do this to try and help bind it all together and create, that kind of that poly, feel to it, so that it feels like it's holding together. It also gives me an opportunity to knock loose anything that isn't going to stay attached. So I'm not being particularly gentle here with it, because if something's loose, I actually want it to come off of there. But basically just giving it a good washing of this PVA and water mixture so that it just gets a good solid coat of it over the entire piece. Just brushing it on. So there's another piece. Look how much there's on there. Trying to get down in the cracks, right? Because I want it to get down in there and help hold everything together. I don't want pieces coming off later. So it helps to kind of get all of that on there. I think there's a loose piece right here, but hopefully the glue will kind of hold that on there. So that's it as far as the putting the glue on there. It's a very simple process, not complicated at all. So just giving it a bath in this glue and water mixture, and of course, now you're going to need to spread this out over several days. This project was something, I'd do one step and then I'd come back the next day after doing the JB weld and gluing it down to the bases, come back the next day and put the glue wash on it. And then that's all I do on that day. It's a nice little 10, 15-minute little project and I'm done with it. And then I can move on and do something else that day. So here's a view of just the different pieces that we have, at that stage of the process. The next stage that I did was to put a texture on the base. So this is using my old texture goo, which is basically a paint that was used for resurfacing patios and things like that. And then the next thing is I went back and put some grit around the stones, the standing stones, and there just some stuff for like railroad modeling and things like that. And that's the process. And then the last thing that I did so far was putting these skulls on. You see all the skulls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's actually 7 that I can see there. But each one of the bases has 1 or 2 skulls on it. And after I get it painted, remember this isn't painted yet. So after I get it painted, we're going to do even more, and we'll put some little tufts, and we'll put a few other little things on there to give it a little more detail. And that's where we are at so far in the process. So that's where we're at. The next step is basically that I'm going to paint these black. I'm going to paint them black, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing on them. And I'll start with a nice dark gray, and we'll work up from there. So again, these were basically made out of this wood bark. Take a saw, cut it in half, and then go from there. So this is, again, there's a piece of the wood bark in its natural state before it's been cut in half or whatever. And that's what I use. Now, this is something I found online, and I ordered off of the interweb. I honestly don't even remember exactly where I got it from. But you can look around for, I think it was pine bark. It might not be, but it's the sort of thing that you would put in for maybe some flower pots. So you can check florists in your area, and they might have something like this. The thing that you have to be careful of, the far more common thing right now, is the little bitty pieces. Like they'll throw those into ground covering and stuff like that. But what we're looking for here are these nice, big, sizable chunks. You can get too big with them, but even these pieces that are almost borderline too big, chop them in half and you can still do a lot with them. Anyway, that's it for the process so far. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, if you have any questions, or if you have some suggestions about this as well. Be sure and hit that like button, get subscribed to our little channel, hit that bell, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.